Sleepy town settled for the night, where every lawn is tailored just right. And it's about time that the back porch light comes on. At that house down the street, at that house on Magnolia Street.
Hey, witch, hey.
Hi, witch, hi.
It's
Okay,
good
hi.
morning.
Sorry.
We're not even in a retrograde. What the fuck?
No,
is
man.
going on?
It's a good way to start off season 2. We'll get all the rocks out of our shoes at the very beginning of the season.
This isn't the start of season 2. We had an episode before this. It's just
I know.
It's not recorded yet.
How are you doing?
I'm all right. As we're recording this, we're gearing up for our Salem trip. We leave tomorrow.
It's very exciting. It's going to be beautiful with a chance of rain, but still, it's going to be so pretty. I'm very excited.
Me too. I'm just too tired to show it.
Yeah.
So fucking
totally.
tired. Been tired all month.
Been tired all my life.
It's just been like a marathon trying to wrap season 1, and our campaign is still going, and we got a lot of stuff going on. So
it does feel a little calmer now that season 1 stuff is done. That felt very hectic, you know, the Boston trip before that, and trying to figure out the plaid dog platform and all that shit.
Yeah, 2 trips to Massachusetts back to back, like a month apart, is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Kind of hectic, but I'm glad we got all of the season 1 stuff squared away for the most part. Set it and forget it. Everything's scheduled. Everything's ready to go. So hopefully
we did it.
Yeah.
That's 52 weeks plus 5 WMSRs.
Yeah.
And a Boston bonus. It's a lot.
Yeah, man. Balls to the wall. We're gonna scale it back down for this episode. We're gonna go back to our old stomping ground.
Our laid back, just chilled episodes. This is like the second child. Season 2 is like whatever. They'll take care of themselves.
We got this.
Yeah.
So we're gonna bring it back to a good old Magick and Lore episode, because
yay,
those are easy to do.
Back to basics.
Back to the basics, and we don't really have this season figured out much yet, right?
We have like the first 3 episodes kind of in place. Yeah.
Right.
Well, welcome. This is your one and only one-stop shop for practical magic content. We are Magnolia Street. I'm Kristina.
I'm Justina, and this is the Practical Magic Fandom podcast.
Welcome. Season 2. Oh my god.
If you missed season 1, you should probably go listen to that.
Yeah.
You probably go catch up now.
We are very excited for this season. We're all very excited for our Salem trip, but I think it's like to the point we've been so excited for so long for so many things that we're very tired.
It's exhausting being that excited for so long.
Yeah. Just edging all month.
Is that what like celebrities feel like when like, because they're like the most busy people on the planet. Like they gotta jump on a flight to go to this interview, to go to that interview, to go to that book signing, that CD signing. Then they gotta go to some award show and like go to a photo, and it's always fucking something. It's always something. And like it feels like that, except we're still nobody. So we're
not getting paid. Yeah.
Like, what? So it's just been very crazy.
It has been very crazy. Aaron was talking to our guests and he was like, don't bother Kristina, she's working. And Kyle was like, yeah, she's making the money. I was like, I don't make any money. Yeah. I make 0 money for all these hours.
Yeah, we made $150 in ad revenue in 1 year. We made $150.
And like patrons, we really appreciate your support, and we hope to include more patrons this year. But all that money goes back into stuff for you guys. So it's not like Justina and I are paying our phone bill or anything with it.
Right.
Like it's not paying our bills. It's getting funneled back for fun stuff for you.
Yeah, I mean, you guys did help us pay for a portion of our hotel in Boston when we went this past September.
To make it to music.
Yeah. So you guys did help us out a little bit there, so we didn't have to dig all the way into pocket. So that was nice.
Yeah,
so yeah, the Patreon has helped a little bit. So thank you guys so much for being that support to us.
Yeah, man. So today, like Justina said, we're going back to a Magick and Lore. We're going to talk about the Thorn apple today. You know what I didn't do? I only checked book 1 for Thorn apple references. Didn't we see it in another book?
You're you're probably right. I can pull it up. I have my Kindle reader on my phone, so we could just, as we go, I'll read
I
it from my
appreciate
phone,
that.
and then I'll pop them into the notes after the fact, so they're there for the show notes' sake.
We've had some technical difficulties this morning.
Yeah, it feels like we're in a retrograde, but we're not. So
are not.
I don't fucking understand.
I don't know.
I don't understand. All right, just let me know what book you need me to pop up, and I have it here. So.
Okay. Yeah. So we'll just tell you a little bit about thorn apple. It is also known as Jimsonweed, and this comes up in the very first book as the reason why Gary is looking for Jimmy, and it's because Jimmy was selling some kind of drugs, but it was laced with Jimsonweed, and there's a couple college students that dropped dead. So he's wanted for homicide.
So he's a serial killer in the movie. In the books, he's, I guess, also a serial killer because a couple kids died, but not like a straight up serial killer. Like, would you consider a drug dealer a serial killer? Because they're killing random people.
Unintentional manslaughter.
Yeah. Like, what is that considered?
I don't know what the difference is between first, second, and third degree murder.
Yeah.
One is with intent. One is you're involved somehow without intent. And the third is like an accident, like a car accident.
Like negligence.
Yeah.
Okay.
No idea.
Negligent manslaughter. Is that a thing? I don't know.
Sure.
But basically, yeah. So he's basically killing people in both the book and the movie, but just a little bit of a different angle, I guess.
Sure. We wanted to talk about this because it came up in like probably our brooms episode, maybe when we were talking about flying ointment, because I think it comes into play there. So we were like, what's thorn apple? And then we looked it up. We were like, Jimsonweed. Wait, that comes up in the book. We get to talk about that too.
Right. Yeah. So weird, the connection. Like, I wouldn't have even connected the two together. Thorn apple.
No. And I have a bit of information on why it's called Jimsonweed, and it's fucking awesome.
I can't wait.
It's really a really cool story that has to do with our militia. So there you go.
Really? Okay. Interesting.
Would you like to take the AKAs for DATURA STRAMONIUM? Is that how you say it?
DATURA STRAMONIUM. It sounds like a Harry Potter spell.
Yes.
The Latin. More Latin for you guys. Season 2, we're coming in hot with the Latin again. So DATURA STRAMONIUM, known by the common names Evil's Apple, Ghost Flower, Jimsonweed, Gypsum Weed, which is GYP, like Gypsy, SUM, Love Will, Mad Apple, Mad Herb, Manicon, Stinkweed, Sorcerer's Herb, that's cool.
Stinkweed,
Thorn Apple, Taloche.
Fucking Stinkweed.
Taloche.
I'm still stuck on that one.
Witch's Thimble, that's cool.
I like that
Yerba del Diablo. Ooh, there it is. The Diablo. Yerba del Diablo. So the herb of the devil. Devil's Trumpets. Taloche again. Loco Weed. Hell's Bells. I've heard of Hell's Bells. Prickly Burr and Moonflowers. And there's also some other ones here. Jameson Weed, Jamestown Weed, Jamestown Lily, Stinkwort, Stinkweed, Mad Apple, Trumpet Plant, Loco Weed, Angel's Trumpet, Devil's Fireweed, Dew Tree, and Apple of Peru.
Wow, that's a lot of AKAs. I really like the one I knew the name of, but I didn't know this was the plant, was the trumpet flower. One that we always see. I'm like, those are poisonous. And that was like my little factoid whenever we were out and about. But I really like Loco Weed and Hell's Bells. Is that what it's called? Hell's Bells?
Hell's Bells, yeah. And the Yerba del Diablo, because that's Jimmy, right?
That is Jimmy.
He's a devil of the desert, so he's got to use the herb of the devil.
Prickly Burr.
Yeah, cool names.
Thorn apple is a poisonous flowering plant of the nightshade family Solanaceae. It is an aggressive, invasive weed in temperate climates across the world. Datura stramonium has frequently been employed in traditional medicine to treat a variety of ailments. It has also been used as a hallucinogen taken to cause intense, sacred, or occult visions. It is unlikely ever to become a major drug of abuse owing to effects upon both body and mind frequently perceived as being highly unpleasant, giving rise to a state of profound and long-lasting disorientation or delirium with a potentially fatal outcome. It contains tropine alkaloids, which are responsible for the psychoactive effects and may be severely toxic. Maybe it is severely toxic.
So he was lacing the, I guess, regular weed with Jimsonweed to give to those kids?
So we're going to come to learn that all the parts of this plant are pretty toxic, like belladonna. So in my mind, I was always thinking he was giving them the seeds because those are, like belladonna, the most, potent part. But I guess you could like chop up the leaves of the Jimsonweed and mix it in with your stash.
Okay, so do you think he was lacing actual marijuana with the Jimsonweed to give to these kids, or do you think do you think these kids were coming to him like, hey, do you got anything like that would make me hallucinate? And he was just giving them these seeds and be like, here, try this. And
Yeah,
then
he could be. Could
they
have
just,
been.
like, fucked off and died.
Yeah, sure. Could have been, yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Would you like to do the books? There's not many mentions
All right.
in book one.
Book 1, Practical Magic. This is on page 76. It says, well, I was planning to call you, Gillian says. Believe it or not, we had to get out of Tucson really fast because Jimmy was selling Jimsonweed to the kids at the university. Okay, oh right, yes, now I remember. He was telling them it was peyote or LSD.
Oh.
And there was some sort of problem with people some sort of problem.
There's a problem.
With people dying, which I had no idea about until he said, get packed, pronto. I would have called before I arrived on your doorstep. I just got freaked out when he collapsed at that rest area. I didn't know where to go. Do you know what's weird? Like, okay, so he's making these kids overdose. In essence, do you think his own death wasn't Gillian? It was just karma doing its fucking thing?
You don't think he was dipping into his own stash?
Maybe he was. Maybe he fucking was. Who's to say? Like, if he has this stuff in his possession to peddle to these kids, who's to say he wasn't like microdosing himself?
Right.
And then fucking kill himself. And the whole time, poor Gillian is taking this rap.
It is like we talked about before, the karma thing, like him in the movie burning his victims before killing them, and then him getting burned by Gary Starr.
Right.
And now this overdose thing, whether it was the Jimsonweed, whether it was the belladonna.
Yeah.
I love how they did that.
Like, how many, like, our theories, as you guys know, our brains just take us in different directions, and like this is pure speculation, but I mean, it's very possible.
Mm-hmm.
Very possible.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so page 207. The why in the case he's working on is clearly money. 3 kids from the university are dead because someone wanted bucks badly enough to sell them rattlesnake seeds and Jimsonweed. Okay, now rattlesnake seeds?
Is that something different?
I don't know. I've never heard of that before. Is that, I guess, a drug, or is that like something from an actual rattlesnake?
I'm gonna look it up.
Yeah,
Like a rattlesnake testicles or something.
Yeah, look that up. Look that up. Okay, so badly enough to sell them rattlesnake seeds and Jimsonweed without once giving a good goddamn about the consequences. Kids will buy anything, especially East Coast kids who haven't been warned their whole life long about what grows in the desert. 1 seed of a rattlesnake weed. Oh, it's a weed, I guess. 1 seed of rattlesnake weed makes you euphoric. It's like LSD growing free. The problem is 2 can cause your death, unless, of course, the first has already done that job nicely, which was the case with one of the kids, a history major from Philadelphia who had just turned 19. That's sad. That's sad that,
It is.
life was taken.
It looks a lot like hemlock. It is tasty green carrot and like Queen Anne's lace. So I guess we can talk about this guy at some point.
Okay, I don't
Alright.
know.
That's like weed.
All right. So on page 223, the reason I'm looking for Mr. Hawkins, Gary explains to Gillian, is that it appears he sold some poisonous plant matter to several college students, which has been the cause of 3 deaths. He offered them should I say this like Gary? He offered them LSD and went and supplied them with the seeds of some highly hallucinogenic, highly toxic weeds. 3 deaths, Gillian shakes her head. Jimmy told her there had been 2. What episode was that where you were laughing at like, shouldn't 1 have been enough?
I know. I must have been the Jimmy episode.
Okay.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Really, shouldn't 1 have been enough? So he told her there had been 2. He told her it wasn't his fault. The kids were greedy and stupid and tried to trick him out of the money he was rightfully due. Fucking spoiled brats. That's what he called them. College boy babies. He could lie about anything, as though it were a sport. Gillian feels ill, thinking how she automatically believed Jimmy and took his side. Those kids must have been looking for trouble. She remembers thinking that. This is awful, she tells Gary Hallett about the deaths at the university. It's horrible. Your friend has been identified by several witnesses, but he's disappeared. Gillian is listening to Gary, but she's also thinking about the way things used to be. August in Tucson can bring the desert floor up to 125 degrees. 1 broiling week, soon after they'd first met, she and Jimmy didn't even leave the house. They just switched on the air conditioner and drank beer and each other. They fucked each other every way Jimmy could think of. Oh my god. Alice! My ears!
You're making Justina blush.
Making me blush. Every way Jimmy could think of, which mostly had to do with his immediate gratification. Let's not call him my friend, Gillian says. Fine, Gary agrees. But we'd like to catch up to him before he sells any more of this garbage. We don't want this to happen again. Looking for trouble. She remembers thinking that. This is awful. She tells Gary Hal about the deaths at the university. All right, so she does kind of like tell him about the deaths. Do you think she tells him about the deaths at the university to kind of like make him seem even worse, to make herself feel better that, like, you know, if she did kill him, making her just like
There was a justification for
yeah,
it.
to clear her own conscience a little bit.
Right.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And
Okay.
two, like maybe like reiterating that to Gary, if Gary ever did find out the truth, like he would have her reaction of being like, that was bad, like that she knows right from wrong.
Yes.
She is not culpable or whatever.
Totally.
Is there anything in Rules of Magic?
Let's see. So I'll search Jimsonweed.
So while you're looking that up, I had told you this, but researching this, looking at photos of this shit was all around where we lived in California.
Oh, really?
And you could pick them up, you could touch them. They're like the prickly bits aren't super sharp. They're kind of soft.
Oh, you said they're spiny, right? Like little pods?
Yeah, they have little spines on their like seed pod capsules.
Okay.
And Aaron always used to say that rats use them for their like burrows or like their homes because it's like a natural defense.
That's pretty
I didn't
cool.
think anything of it. You
Yeah.
know, they're so
Yeah.
cool. We just chuck them at each other.
When you show me a picture of it, I thought it looked a lot like sweet gum. You know what sweet gum looks
Mhm,
like? Those
mhm.
spiny balls that like
Yeah.
fall off the
These
trees.
are a bit bigger. They're like this big.
Okay.
They're kind of big. Yeah.
Okay.
But you're right. They definitely do look like that.
Yeah, very similar looking, but I don't think sweet gum is poisonous like that.
I don't think so either.
Yeah. So there's one mention of Jimsonweed in the Rules of Magic book in part 1, the intuition section. This is on page 49. This is in reference to Franny and Jet working in the garden. So it says, Franny and Jet continued to work in the garden early in the mornings before the heat of the days was upon them. They wore heavy gloves so they could tear out the poisonous plants that grew wild. Jimsonweed, holly, foxglove, nightshade, mandrake, rue. So that's basically the only mention in Rules of Magic. But I'll also search thorn apple because that's the same thing, right?
Because I think that's the one we saw and we're like, what is that?
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, there is one mention of thorn apple in Rules of Magic, and this is on page 318. And this says, the more dangerous plants were ordered from the Owens farm in Rockport, Maine, and these Jet grew in the greenhouse, still locked with an old iron key. No reason to take a chance that teenagers would easily mistake wolfsbane for marijuana might manage to get inside and binge on poison. There, behind the glass, she kept belladonna, hemlock, nightshade, which could induce visions and was said to be in the ointment that allowed witches to fly, henbane, known as black nightshade, used by men to attract women and by women to bring the rain, mandrake, an herb said to scream when plucked from the ground by its roots, thorn apple, used for healing and for breaking hexes, but only in tiny amounts, otherwise death might result.
Okay, we'll have
Yeah.
to see what our magic and lore section has to say because I could definitely see those. You said protection, right?
Healing and breaking hexes.
Breaking hexes. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I could see how they would break hexes because they kind of got that like spiny
Mhm.
quality. So yeah, I guess in essence, protection or maybe keeping hexes away.
They look like one of those medieval, like spiky balls on the end
Yeah.
of the chain. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah, definitely.
a mace. There you go.
Yeah, but also it's also used for healing. That's interesting.
It actually, I think there is a bit because it was used a lot in traditional medicine that we'll get to for a bunch of shit.
Okay.
So we'll get there though.
All right, cool. Going over to magic lessons. Yeah, Jimsonweed is not in magic lessons, and I'm guessing it's because of the story that you have to tell about where the name Jimsonweed came from. If it has to do with our militia, I'm sure it doesn't go back that far to magic lesson times.
Right. Okay.
All right, so I'm gonna look up thorn apple though.
Good idea. That's a smart line of thinking.
There's no mention.
I wouldn't even think of that.
There's no thorn apple or Jimsonweed in magic lessons.
Okay.
All right, so then last book, Book of Magic. Let's see. No Jimsonweed, thorn apple. Ooh, there is one mention of thorn apple in Book of Magic.
Okay.
This is in chapter 2 on page 259. This says, holly, thornapple, hawthorn, rowan, oak, ash were tossed onto the flame. I think this is when Tom Lockland, and Kylie were, I guess, doing magic or something.
Okay.
Let's-
In that abandoned homestead of his.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't think I would put thornapple in a fire.
No, man.
What do you mean? Mercury vapors.
Mercury vapors, exactly. Horse thief.
Horse thief.
I was listening to our Boston bonus last night because I
Oh
don't
my
think I ever like re-listened to the whole thing back, and I was just dying. I was like,
Horse thief.
horse thief. All right, so yeah, I guess that's in reference to some kind of magic that Tom Lockland and Kylie were doing together. So yeah, they threw thorn apple onto a flame
And hemlock.
And hemlock, yeah, poisonous plants. So like those vapors, those gases, like
Was this for his like red rain or whatever he was trying to concoct?
no,
Or did he do that without Kylie, I think?
Yeah, because didn't he do that to get revenge on Kylie for, I guess, fucking him over, right?
He must be a Pisces, man.
I have to read I have to read this book again. It's been a minute.
It has been.
Yeah, I think I'm due for like all of my rereads for the year just to refresh stuff, you know? So that's the only mention in Book of Magic.
All right.
And no Jimsonweed.
So it is in there. It's out of half the books.
Yeah.
Alice does continue to use this Jimsonweed. We talked about the Jimsonweed placement way early on.
Mm-hmm.
And that was in our like second episode 2, episode 2.5 about book versus movie. So I'm just going to talk about that really quickly again. So in the book, Jimmy is wanted for the deaths of those college students for selling them Jimsonweed, which he said was peyote. And then in the movie, he's wanted for homicide of multiple young women, like strangulation of these multiple young women. And then the thread line between those two, the correlation they share in both book and movie is that Sally is incapable of lying to Gary, because him selling the Jimsonweed or him being hunted down for murder is what draws Gary to the Owens house, but she can't lie to him in both stories about this occurrence.
Right. Got it. Okay.
Cool. So DATURA STRAMONIUM. Okay, I was pre-reading this insert. I'm going to read it the way my brain read it.
Okay.
Right? Is an erect, annual, freely branching herb that forms a bush up to 2 to 5 feet tall.
We're so mature.
The root is long, thick, and fibrous and wide. The stem is stout, erect,
Wait a minute.
smooth, pale, yellow, green to reddish purple in color. The stem forks off repeatedly into branches, and each fork forms a leaf in a single erect flower. The multi-use of that word really brings it home.
Dude, are you reading about a plant or are you reading me 50 Shades of Hades? What is going on?
The leaves are about 8 to 20 centimeters. That's 3 to 8 inches long, smooth, toothed, soft, and irregularly undulated.
Well, that sounds fabulous.
Red for her pleasure. The upper surface of the leaves is a darker green than the bottom, which is a lighter green. The leaves have a bitter and nauseating taste, which is in part to extracts of the herb and remains even after the leaves have been dried. I didn't include this, and I didn't watch the show. Did you watch Sinner?
No.
This had a plot line in Sinner, and they were saying that it had a slight licorice taste.
Oh, like an anise, I guess?
I guess, yeah. I hadn't watched the show. So DATURA STRAMONIUM, thorn apple, Jimsonweed, generally flowers throughout the summer. The fragrant flowers have a pleasing odor. They're trumpet shaped. They can be white to creamy or even violet. I've seen yellow ones.
Yeah.
And 6 to 9 centimeters long and grow in short stems from either the axils of the leaves or the places where the branches fork. The flowers open at night. The egg-shaped seed capsules that Justina and I were talking about, those spiky ones, are usually about 1 to 3 inches in diameter, and either they're covered in those spines or they can be completely bald. At maturity, it splinters into 4 chambers, kind of like a pecan shell when they open, and each has they have dozens of small black seeds inside.
All right, question. Are these just like fatal to like ingest, or is just touching them enough to like fuck you up?
I'm not sure. Hopefully we cover that in here because I'm really not sure.
Okay. All right. So you want me to take the etymology and common names?
Yeah, Mom.
All right. So the genus name is derived from the plant's Hindi name, Datura, ultimately from Sanskrit, Datura, white thorn apple. The origin of Neo-Latin stramonium is unknown. The name Stramonia was used in the 17th century for various Datura species. So there's some evidence that stramonium is originally from the Greek word strychnos, which means nightshade, and manicon, which means to make mad. So interesting, the nightshade, because the nightshade is basically what killed Jimmy, right? In both stories.
That Greek word sounds like strychnine, which is also
yes.
deadly.
Yes. Cool. 100%. It is called umatai in Tamil, North and Eastern India. In the United States, the plant is called Jimsonweed, or more rarely Jamestown weed, deriving from the town of Jamestown, Virginia, where English soldiers consumed it while attempting to suppress Bacon's rebellion. They spent 11 days in altered mental states.
Like, what the fuck?
What is Bacon's rebellion?
Here we go, man. Take me down.
Take me down. Take me home, country road. So, okay. We're gonna sidebar here and talk about Bacon's Rebellion. I've never heard of this.
Me
So
either.
let's go down this rabbit hole together. So, a group of unsuspecting British soldiers were sent to the Virginia colony to, quote, pacify the troubles of Bacon, end quote. Like Bacon as the food?
Probably a general?
Okay,
Kind
like
of commander, Captain Bacon?
General Kevin Bacon?
Yeah, General Kevin Bacon.
All right, General Kevin.
Insert his name in.
Yeah. Okay, it's the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he's got to be involved in this story somehow. So the group, according to Beverly, gathered the plant for a boiled salad, and then some of them ate it, as Beverly described, plentifully of it. The effect of which was a very pleasant comedy. The British troops that consumed the Jimsonweed slowly started to act as though they too were losing their minds. With each passing hour, they fell deeper into apparent insanity. They completely disassociated from reality, and they felt the effects for 11 days.
God
That's a
damn.
long fucking trip, man. I don't know if I could handle that.
I would die.
I think I just off myself after like day one, man.
Day one.
After that story I told you about Thanksgiving and eating that special chocolate.
Hour 12, I'm out.
Yeah. No, thank you. Day 11? Holy shit. Okay, so quote, they turned natural fools on it for several days. One would blow up a feather in the air, another would dart straws at it with much furt, and another stark naked was sitting up in a corner like a monkey, grinning and making mouths at them. A fourth would fondly kiss and paw his companions and sneer in their faces with a countenance more antic than any in a Dutch droll, wrote Beverly.
Damn.
What the fuck? So when the toxic conditions finally wore off, the British troops who consumed the Jimsonweed had no recollection of any of the events that happened during those 11 days. But like, so they didn't die?
Right.
They didn't die from it? Okay.
Maybe because it was boiled, and you know how when you like steam veggies and boil stuff, it boils out like all the nutrients.
Yeah, I guess so. So maybe it wasn't as fatal to boil it in a salad, but what the fuck?
I don't know. Boiled salad though? Like
Boiled
what the fuck is
salad.
that?
So in this frantic condition, they were confined, left they should in their folly left they should in their folly destroy themselves, though it was observed that all their actions were full of innocence and good nature, wrote Beverly. Indeed, they were not very cleanly, for they would have wallowed in their excrements. Ew!
Excrements, yeah.
Excrement, that's disgusting. So, if they had not been prevented, 1,000 such simple trick they played, and after 11 days returned to themselves again, not remember anything that had passed. Could you imagine just like
Blacking
go balls
out
to the wall and not remembering, just shitting yourself?
No. I have one blackout session like ages ago, and like afterward, the day after, I'm like, those lost hours make my stomach turn. Like thinking about it, I'm like, what did I do? I hate that feeling. It's only happened once. Never again.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever actually blacked out from anything. That one time that I had that special chocolate experience, I remember the entire fucking thing, and it was horrifying.
Entire thing.
Horrifying. And
Yeah.
that's enough to make me go, never again.
Yeah.
Never again.
That's
but like
so funny.
you only need that one experience to make you be like, no, I'm good with that. I don't need to do that. You know?
But like you're down to do like a little mugwort now and again.
Maybe a little moxibustion here and there.
Moxibustion. I feel like if it was in the safety of your home,
That
right?
wasn't the safety of my home.
No,
I was
I'm not
hosting a-
saying like this is a removed experience. Like if we were to do this, probably not in a Salem hotel room.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I was hosting a fucking Thanksgiving party and lost my legs halfway through dinner. And my guests just hung around all fucking night, apparently. That's what I've been told. Like,
Lost my legs.
I was just in the bathroom with my head in the toilet all night.
Oh no.
Yeah, it was bad. It was bad.
I lost my legs.
No, never again.
Lieutenant Dan.
Both me and Avi, we were both the hosts of the party, and we were both out of commission.
No.
I don't know why anybody stayed at that party. I think they just felt awkward to leave.
Maybe they were just as high.
No, I don't think so. Everybody else had their legs. What the fuck? All right. Okay, let's move on. So this story's not, I guess the story's not over yet. Okay, so they didn't remember anything that passed, right? So though this is a footnote on the grand history of Virginia, and more specifically Jamestown, it is also a cautionary tale to not ingest any plant that you can't identify in the wilderness. I guess they didn't develop the part of your brain yet that like teaches you about Darwinism.
Yeah. And this is like the Revolutionary War, like 1700s, I guess.
When was Darwinism? When did that come into play? Like when was that a thing?
I don't know.
But like I'm like, what year was this? Shouldn't people know better? So Yeah, cautionary tale. Even today, don't ingest anything that you can't identify in the wilderness.
Don't eat anything.
Don't eat anything.
Ever again. Don't eat anything ever again.
Ever again. So the Jimsonweed is now understood for containing dangerous levels of tropane alkaloids, atropine, hyoscyamine, and scopolamine, all of which are classified as deliriants or anticholinergics.
Fucking crazy that a whole like unit of grown-ass men were like kitty cat pawing at each other and kissing at each other and rolling around in shit.
Yeah.
Like it's bedlam.
They were doing that all simultaneously while shitting themselves.
I wonder like the one guy who did not have anything, if he just was like, out, I'm out.
If he had a cell phone, he would definitely have videotaped that whole thing. No doubt.
Viral.
100%. So,
but even this guy Beverly being able to write about it, Beverly has seen some shit.
He's seen some shit, and now he's the one that needs to disassociate.
But it's funny. I love the way he wrote about it. Like, I'm not positive if he is a firsthand account or not, but he wrote about it in a very humorous way, which I can appreciate.
Pure poetry.
It's pure poetry.
Pure poetry.
Oh my god.
But interesting that, okay, so the Jimsonweed actually comes from Jamestown, because it's Jamestown, Virginia. So that's where the name, I guess they shortened it to like Jim instead of James.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Might as well be called Jimmyweed, right?
Jimmyweed.
There you go. Jimmyweed.
There it is.
All connected.
Bitch. I wanted to include a little bit about the pollinators of this plant because like there were other plants that you and I talked about them being toxic to humans, but not so much animals. And I'm like, what kind of animal is okay ingesting some of this? So some of the largest moths in the world belong to the hawk moth or Syphingid family within the order of
Coleoptera.
The animal order that includes butterflies and moths. These magnificent animals have long, narrow wings and thick bodies. They are fast flyers and often highly aerobatic. Many species can hover in place. Some can briefly fly backwards or dart away. Hawk moths are experts at finding sweet-smelling flowers after dark. They are especially fond of the Jimsonweed and another plant called 4 o'clocks, which I've never heard of, and the plant called Queen of the Night cactus. Cactus? Cactus. Queen of the Night cactus blossoms. Cactus.
Wait, hold on, time out. So in LA, I think I might have told you the story already. We had a cactus on the property and we would call it the dactus because it just looked like a big dick.
You need a queen to go with your dactus.
Oh my god.
The Queen of the Night dactus blossoms.
Queen of the dactus.
These flowers are highly fragrant with long floral tubes concealing pools of thin but abundant nectar. Hawk moths have the largest tongues of any other moth or butterfly, sometimes up to 14 inches long.
Holy shit.
Hey, here's our boy. Charles Darwin knew of the star orchid from Madagascar that had nectar spurs over a foot in length. Darwin was ridiculed by other scientists of his day for predicting that these orchids would be pollinated by hawk moths. After his death, hawk moths with tongues long enough to sip the nectar produced by the star orchids were discovered on the island of Madagascar.
Can you just see like fucking Darwin just being like a know-it-all and to like
actually
him just like walking through a garden, him like, hey, you see that weed over there? Fucking moths are gonna be nomming on that shit in no time. And he's gonna like be like, I proved you right. I told you so. What the fuck, man? How did he know that? How did he know?
I don't know. And look up a picture of these moths. They're very cute. They're very pretty, but they have like super long ass tongues. I don't know how they must like curl up, like a,
I think it does curl up because remember that moth that died on my back porch like a month ago or a couple months ago? Before it died, the night before, it was alive and it was on our screen on the door and I could see it. And like Punky was kind of like trying to like get at it. I went up to the screen and I was just kind of like observing it because I had never seen a moth like that big, that up close before. And I was looking at it and it had like a curly thing kind of coming out of its mouth. I guess that was the tongue.
Yeah.
I did not know.
14 inches?
I didn't know moths had tongues that long. That's crazy. Wow. Okay.
Yep. So many toxins have effects on pollinators. Research is showing that certain plants choose certain pollinators due to their toxicity. Pollinators get an extra benefit by drinking the alkaloids to use in their own defense, in their secretion or in their reproductive sacs, etc. Such animals like larvae, tomato hornworms, they're not affected by the toxins of these plants.
I wonder what they have, like what is in their blood or their DNA that makes them not affected by that? You know? It's weird.
Fuck hornworms, man. I hate those motherfuckers.
Mother Nature is so strange.
Mm-hmm.
Why are some species affected by stuff and some are not? It's weird.
Right. Like the honey badger just going after like rattlesnakes.
Honey badger don't give a fuck. Or don't give a shit. What did it say? Honey badger don't give a fuck?
Yeah.
All right.
Anyway.
Toxicity. All parts of DATURA plants contain dangerous levels of the tropane alkaloids atropine, hyoscyamine, and scopolamine. The risk of fatal overdose is high among uninformed users, and many hospitalizations occur among recreational users who ingest the plant for its psychoactive effects. Deliberate or inadvertent poisoning resulting from smoking Jimsonweed and other related species has been reported. So I guess, I don't know, maybe people do try to do this recreationally, and
yeah, I guess.
Idiot. Like, why would you even try that? DATURA. So there's other species of DATURA plants, not just the Jimsonweed plant. I guess my friend Heather, the one that's like super into like all of the like toxic plants and like I guess baneful herb gardens or whatever, she had DATURA growing in her garden, and I think she was like weeding or whatever around it, and I think she just brushed up against a little bit of it, and she said that, like, she was so affected by it, it was bad. Like, she had a bad reaction to it. So like I guess even brushing up against some DATURA plants is just like not good.
Yikes.
Just be careful if you have DATURA anywhere in your garden. Just be careful. So the amount of toxins varies widely from plant to plant. As much as 20-to-1 variation can be found between plants, and given plant's toxicity depends on its age, where it's growing, and the local weather conditions. A particularly strong difference has been found between plants growing in their native ranges and plants that have adjusted to growing in non-native ranges. In the latter, the atropine and scopolamine concentration may be up to 20 to 40 times lower than in the native range. It is suspected that this is an evolutionary response to lower predatory pressures. That makes sense. Additionally, within a given plant, toxin concentration varies by part and even from leaf to leaf. When the plant is younger, the ratio of scopolamine to atropine is about 3-to-1. After flowering, the ratio is reversed, with the amount of scopolamine continuing to decrease as the plant gets older. In traditional cultures, a great deal of experience and detailed knowledge of DATURA was critical to minimize harm. DATURA intoxication. Did you have something to add to that?
No, I didn't have it. Nothing constructive. I was going to say scopolamines. And
scopolamine. Yeah, it sounds Italian.
It has a very Italian flair to it.
Italianate.
Go get me the scopolamine out of the cellar.
Now you just sound like Staten Island. Get it out of the cellar. DATURA intoxication typically produces delirium, hallucination, hypothermia, tachycardia, bizarre behavior. Now I'm just like mixing behavior.
Just if Jimmy grew up in the Northeast, for sure.
If Jimmy grew up in Staten Island, that's what he was. Bizarre behavior, urinary retention, and severe mydriasis, which is the dilation of the pupils with resultant painful photophobia that can last several days. Pronounced amnesia is another commonly reported effect. The onset of symptoms generally occurs around 30 to 60 minutes after ingesting the herbs. These symptoms generally last from 24 to 48 hours, but have been reported in some cases to last as long as 2 weeks. Fuck that.
God damn.
That trip.
So they must have had like the young, like the super ripe, ready to eat boiled salad leaves.
Yeah.
14 days?
Like, I'm sorry. If you're going on a trip that long, you're gonna need to pack a fucking suitcase.
You're gonna need to pack those extra underwear because you are gonna shit yourself.
You're gonna shit yourself. That's like when I remember when I was packing for Boston and I asked you, I was like, hey, when you pack for a trip, do you pack your underwear like you're gonna shit your pants every day?
Every time.
I pack like
every time. I'm doing that now. I'm like, just bring them all. Who gives a shit? Bring them all.
20 pairs of underwear per day. Like, what? Yep. How do we pack like that? So these alkaloids contain anesthetic properties. These properties led to the discovery of Novocaine.
Ayo.
Wow. So I guess they do use some of these more baneful herbs in modern medicine. I don't know. Crazy.
Let's go back in the Wayback Machine. I think we talk about South America here a little bit.
Okay.
Could you tell? I can't click on this without going to the site. This is called DATURA Realistic Hallucinogen. Could you say where this is from?
Wickanow.com.
Oh, okay. So the Aboriginal peoples from Colombia to Chile value DATURA as a realistic hallucinogen and medicine. The plant was extremely sacred to the Aztec people. According to Richard Evans Schultz, Datura has been used traditionally during initiation rituals to induce dreams, communicate with ancestors, and gain occult powers and predict the future. Schultz further writes that, quote, some Indians of the Andes of southern Colombia cultivate a number of clones or high atrophied varieties of Datura. The medicine men from these regions maintain that these plants have a differing potency from the usual Datura. This further illustrates that Datura inhabits a cultural significance and long-standing place within traditional folk medicine. Another example of Datura being used ritualistically can be found in the traditions of the Algonquin Indians of eastern North America. Young men of the tribe would be taken to a secluded area to drink a mixture called Waisoken, made primarily from Datura, and we're going to talk about more of this later. All right, so say I accidentally eat some of this shit. What's going to go on? What's going to go down?
You're gonna shit yourself.
Yeah.
I don't understand. Like, okay, maybe you do ingest it with the intention. Maybe you think it's peyote or LSD. Like some of those kids thought it was peyote or whatever. But like, I don't know. How would you do this by accident? I don't understand.
I don't know. Unless you weren't getting it on your own from a trusted source. Yeah. I don't know.
Okay. All right. So what to do if you, I guess, come into contact with Datura poisoning? I guess whether it's ingestion or maybe brushing up against it like my friend did in her garden, like here's what you could do. So if you or anyone you know is suffering from the adverse effects of Datura, you must immediately contact your local emergency hospital. Fatalities due to Datura species poisoning are rare, but adverse effects are common. As detailed by the paper, acute poisoning due to ingestion of Datura stramonium, treatment for Datura poisoning consists of gastric decontamination with activated charcoal administered by mouth or tube. Like Ipecac, basically?
No. Well, those activated charcoal tablets are awesome. If you got like a burbly belly, if you got gases, man, take some of those activated tablets because the charcoal absorbs the toxic stuff.
Right. Okay, so yeah, you want that activated charcoal administered by mouth or tube, sedation with benzodiazepines to control agitation, and the hyperpyrexia control, fluids administration, and internal and external cooling methods. Gastric emptying and decontamination are necessary managing tools if they are initiated early. In our case, the ingestion was done 2 hours before admission, and the early gastric emptying and decontamination with activated charcoal through a gastric tube proved to be safe and efficient, as long as the airway was already secured, and the maneuver was applied before the toxins were totally absorbed. Decreased gastrointestinal mobility may have raised the efficacy of the activated charcoal.
So they're saying like shit it out as fast as you can or throw it back up.
Yeah, just get it out in some way, shape, or form.
Can people take Ipecac? I thought that was only for dogs.
I don't know. I thought it was just like an agent to help you get like bad stuff out of your system, right? Is that what Ipecac is?
I've only heard it ever given to dogs when they eat chocolate to get them to make them throw up.
What is Ipecac? Oh, it's spelled Ipecac, like IPECAC.
Really?
Yeah.
Yep,
so
Ipecac.
It's a syrup. The syrup of Ipecac is a drug that was once widely used as an expectorant and a rapid-acting emetic. It is obtained from the dried rhizome and roots of the Ipecacuana plant. I don't know if I'm saying that right, which it derives its name.
Okay.
So yeah, it's used in the emergency treatment of certain kinds of poisoning, and it causes the person to vomit up whatever they had ingested. So yeah, it's used basically in any kind of poisoning situation.
Okay.
It's humans or dogs. But
Dang.
yeah, that's crazy shit. All right, so we're going to talk about a poisoning incident, I guess, related to Datura right now. And this was in Australia, very recent, December 2022. Again, we're in modern times now. People have access to the internet. I don't know if like misidentification, I mean, I guess it still happens, but like, come on, people, do your research.
But like this amount, keep reading. Okay, look how many people this is.
Jesus Christ.
You go ahead.
Okay, so in Australia in December 2022, around 200 people.
Yeah, I know.
Reported becoming ill after eating products containing spinach sold mostly through Costco. Oh my god! It could have been me!
It could have been you!
That's
man.
that's the only place we buy our fucking produce from. That's
Last year, did you feel funny at all last year at any point in time?
No.
I think you're all
Maybe
right.
that's what the effects was from my
This is Australia too, so
from my Thanksgiving dinner, not the chocolate.
not the chocolate.
So Datura stramonium was identified as the contaminant whose young leaves had been picked alongside the spinach leaves. I'm sorry, why is there Datura growing in a spinach garden? Like,
Because it's a weed.
close to
It's
it.
invasive.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, like, I hate the idea of like pesticides or like any kind of like,
Yes.
I guess, spray to get stuff not to grow near your food. But I mean, what's worse? Like something like this happening?
Accidentally poisoning 200 people?
Exactly. That's nuts.
Yeah.
All right, so now I feel bad that I call people stupid because that could have fucking been me. Because I shop at fucking Costco. So the weed has spread due to increased rainfall. The grower, Riviera Farms, is from the Gippsland region of Victoria and acted promptly to eradicate the weed. But yeah, but like after the fact, after like all these people fell ill from it, like
I wonder what kind of lawsuit that was.
yeah, like why weren't they eradicating this weed prior? Like why weren't they getting a handle on the weeds around these spinach gardens prior to all of this, you know?
So, mostly soil contaminated, identified as contaminating the young leaves, had been picked alongside the spinach. So they're saying not just that it wasn't just like growing adjacent to the spinach and like its toxins were maybe sucked into the spinach. They were picking all the weeds. They were picking everything that was in that row, I guess.
That's
Crazy.
horrifying. Like that's why like it's just if the pandemic taught me anything, not that pandemic has anything to do with this story, but like growing your own food and like knowing what's growing around your food, where your food is coming from. Like,
Yeah.
you know, you never know who's dealing with your food, what is coming into contact with it before it even gets to your plate. Like that's scary. Like
Yeah.
we put so much trust in farmers. Like it's nuts.
Totally. Yeah. The farmland behind us has persimmon trees. And initially, like I had like one or two, but then I realized like they spray out there. You know, I'm like, this is probably not good. And like we were fishing out there, and if we really wanted to keep and clean the fish, we could, but like not with the runoff that's coming off of those fields.
Yeah.
That's disgusting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's just very scary. I'm gonna tell Avi about that story and be like, you know, in Costco, you got to look out
Last
for that
year.
Jimsonweed.
You're gonna leave out the part where it was Australia.
Yeah, I'm just gonna scare him a little bit. I mean, that could happen anywhere, though. Like, it could happen anywhere.
Yeah.
You know, we've
Yeah,
had
absolutely.
many recalls
Mhm.
on, lettuce, spinach, anything really. Any leafy greens are very susceptible to like any kind of like bacterial, like E. coli. I think they find in salad a lot.
Yeah.
You
Oh
know?
my God. Grow your own greens.
Grow
It's
your own
perfect.
greens,
Put the
people.
seeds in right now. Right now, you can have them over the winter.
Exactly.
This next article, I think, is from jester.com, and this one is from 1905.
Oh, wow.
So that's why I pulled it. It's just entitled Thorn Apple by W. Whitman Bailey. And this was in the Journal of Education, volume 62, number 19. So it says, every year there are accounts in the newspapers of the poisoning of children, more especially by, quote, thorn apple. The plants, for there are two common species, Datura stramonium and Datura titula, are known everywhere at the South by the name. Okay, I'm trying to remember this in 1905. It's just a little funny
You
word.
gotta read it like an Avera taste.
Okay, all right. We're at the South by the name of Jimsonweed.
There you go.
That's more, not Louis L'Amour. What's that guy's name? The interviewer
Oh,
guy.
Dan Rather.
Okay, all right. This is said to be a corruption of Jamestown weed from the famous old settlement of Virginia.
We
Okay,
know that story now.
Jimsonweed. Yeah, right. As another AKA. These plants are reputed to be of tropical origin, but they are perfectly naturalized throughout a large part of the United States and are generally found growing on ash heaps or in waste piles. It is a sign of neglect and slovenliness about a place, and yet, strange to say, the plants are intrinsically handsome and have been much employed for design, the foliage, flowers, and fruit all being striking. I have seen this in like zoos. There will be like a topiary of these trumpet flowers because like pollinators fucking use them. They're beautiful.
Yeah.
The true thorn apple or stramonium is generally the more common species and is much the larger plant, not infrequently reaching 5 or 6 feet in height and being, though strictly a herb, of bushy and branching habit. Its tubular funnel form coleorae are white, 5-lobed, and with each lobe sharply pointed. The calyx is green, long, and prismatic. A feature of both species is the marked convolution of the coleal. I don't know what
Corolla.
Adam Carolla.
Yeah, that guy. Wait, was he from Loveline?
I don't remember.
Loveline?
He had a minute in time in the 90s.
That guy. I
2000s.
forgot about that guy.
I think he's on a game show now. My dad watches. I think he's on one of those like B-roll game shows.
Okay.
Well, not strictly night blooming, there is a strong tendency in the flowers to first open in twilight, when they are very beautiful. Didn't they say an AKA was moonflower?
Yeah.
Didn't they give you moonflower seeds?
You did. Did you give me Datura? Did you give me poison?
Oh, look at that package. I know you know where it is. Look at the scientific name if it's on there.
Where did I put those? They're in a box.
I'll keep reading. You keep looking.
All right.
Where did you put? One would suppose that the rank offensive odor would prevent even children who taste most things from putting any part of the plant in the mouth. But that dangerous habit is not confined to the very young. A few years ago, while conducting laboratory exercises on fruits you found it, with my university class, I had the stramonium pods as an example of the capsule. The students were to describe and draw them. In the middle of the hour, something led me to remark, "Gentlemen, these pods and seeds are poisonous if eaten. Do not on any account put them in your mouths." Wouldn't you say that at the top of the hour?
Yeah. All right. So this says moonflower, Ipomia alba.
Okay.
It doesn't say much other than that. It's got the sowing information on here, but it doesn't say much about the actual flower. I don't know if this is the Datura flower or the Datura species, though.
It didn't sound like it was. Say that scientific name again.
Ipomia alba, like IPOMOEA, and then space Alba, like Jessica Alba.
Okay. Almost immediate. Thank you for finding that.
Yeah.
I hope you get to plant those.
I do too. I hope I don't get poisoned.
Yeah. So the professor just said out loud to his students, like, these are poisonous, don't put them in your mouths. Almost immediately, a young man, white as death, toddled up to the desk and told me he had swallowed a handful of the seeds. My assistant was even more scared than I, and we hustled the boy to the nearest physician and a medic. It taught me a lesson that one cannot be too cautious and should hold up warnings all the time. The plants are innocuous to the touch. The large prickly pods are very handsome objects, beautiful to draw or paint. I have seen them silvered for Christmas decorations. Ooh,
Pretty.
That's cool. At the far west, there occurs a magnificent species of Datura, the metalloids. Its really immense white flowers are deliciously odorous. The name metalloids implies a resemblance to the foreign Datura metel, M-E-T-E-L. The termination odes always denoting a resemblance to the plant whose name is used in combination therewithin. Oh my God, this guy is driving me nuts. Okay. They're used in combination therewith. It is not surprising to find the thorn apples poisonous, as they belong to the nightshade family, Solanaceae, to which also pertain tobacco, henbane, and various nightshades. But it is interesting to note that the family also yields us those very important vegetables: the potato, the tomato, cherry tomato, and the eggplant. That excellent botanist, the Colorado beetles, know and love them all. And Mr. Bailey has an afternote here. It says, the Providence Journal only the other day had a notice of the poisoning of 2 children by the seeds of stramonium. So I guess recently after he wrote that, he added a little subnote, like, it happened again.
That fucking sucks. And it wasn't Costco.
It wasn't Costco in 1905.
Real quick. So going back to these seeds, all right? So I just Googled the name Ipomia alba just to like see if it was poisonous and it had any relation to Datura or whatever. So this article from gardeningnowhow.com, it tells you how to actually tell Ipomia apart from Datura, because I guess they're very often confused. Okay. So first, a little bit about the moonflower. So it says the debate over moonflower versus Datura can get pretty confusing. Some plants like Datura have a number of common names, and those names often overlap, which we said before. Like, it also said moonflower when we read the common names before. Mm-hmm. So Datura is sometimes called moonflower, but there is another type of plant that also goes by the name moonflower, which is this one, the Ipomia albus.
It's a very mugwort wormwood situation.
Yeah. So they look similar, but one is much more poisonous. So it's worth it to know the difference. Is moonflower a Datura? So Datura stramonium, the one we're talking about today on the topic of this episode, is the type of plant that belongs to the Solanaceae family, the nightshade family. Also the devil's trumpet, Jimsonweed, blah, blah, blah. So how to tell them apart, though? Datura and moonflower, they look very similar to one another. Both produce flowers that are trumpet-shaped, but Datura grows lower to the ground while moonflower grows as a climbing vine.
Okay.
So that
Okay.
Yeah, and flowers on either plant can be whitish to lavender petal color. Datura flowers can bloom any time of day, while Ipomoea flowers open up at dusk and bloom during the night, which is why they're called moonflowers. That sounds so pretty. It sounds so magical. That blooms during.
That's great knowledge to have right there.
Yes,
Just
yeah.
pick up just a little nugget.
We will link this below.
Yeah.
Also, there's a couple more. So Datura has an unpleasant smell, while Moonflower Vine has a sweet scented bloom. Datura leaves are arrow-shaped. Moonflower leaves are heart-shaped. Datura flowers are deeper trumpets than the moonflower blooms, and the seeds of Datura, as we talked about before, are covered in spiky burrs. So I guess the moonflower plant has no spikes on anything whatsoever. So there are some very significant differences. I think even more so than the mugwort versus the wormwood. I think those were a lot similar and more easy to confuse, but these seem very, although the name's similar and the trumpet's shape is similar, but everything else seems like very different.
Right. Yeah. Like we said at the top of this episode, this is a bush, a flowering bush of some kind, and that is a climbing vine.
Yeah.
And I think those moonflowers that you have are more, they're like a morning glory, which is poisonous, but it's probably a smaller flower, where this said the tube could be up to like 4 inches long. So, okay. All right, cool.
Good to know. I would have never
Good to
even
know.
yeah, thanks for telling me to whip that out. I forgot that they were in this
I
whole
love when you
box-
whip it out.
This whole box is filled of seeds that people have sent.
Girl,
I'm just
I want some of them seeds.
hoarding them. All right. Saving them for a rainy day.
Nice.
All right.
Okay.
What's next?
Well, we got some more poisonings in the news. You want to take us to Texas?
Sure.
California?
Poisonings for everyone. So,
Oh God.
Jimsonweed poisoning. This article, this is another Just Store article. This is titled Jimsonweed Poisoning, Texas, New York, and California in 1994. So again, a little more recent than your typical 1800s story. Morbidity and Mortality Weekly Report. This is from volume 44, number 3. And this was, I guess,
Dude, I kind of want to subscribe to that. Say that name again.
Morbidity and Mortality Weekly.
Sign me up.
Find me. Where do I sign? So that's so fucked up. So this, I guess, was published January 27, 1995. So in Texas, New York, and California in 1994. Ingestion of Jimsonweed, Datura stramonium, which contains the anticholinergics atropine and scopolamine, can cause serious illness or death. Sporadic incidents of intentional misuse have been reported throughout, should I say this like a news reporter? Throughout the United States, and clusters have occurred among adolescents unaware of its potential adverse effects. This report describes incidents of Jimsonweed poisoning that occurred in Texas, New York, and California during June-November 1994.
Are you on speed? What's going on?
That's not how like newscasters like report their shit. So Texas. On June 19, 1994, the El Paso City County Health and Environmental District was notified of 2 male adolescents aged 16 and 17 years who had died from D-stramonium intoxication. On June 18th, the descendants?
You sound like Siri.
Is that descendants or decedents? Descendants?
Decedents?
Decedents,
Like
I guess.
the deceased?
Oh, okay.
Decedents. Yeah, okay, yeah.
On June 18th, the decedents and 2 other male adolescents had consumed tea brewed from a mixture of roots from a Jimsonweed plant and alcoholic beverages, then fell asleep on the ground in the desert. Family and police found the decedents the following afternoon. The other 2 adolescents reported drinking only small amounts of the tea. One experienced hallucinations. The other had no signs or symptoms. Neither was treated, nor were biological specimens collected. Screening of a toxicologic Screening of a toxicologic postmortem blood sample from one decedent detected atropine, 55 milliliters, and a blood alcohol concentration of 0.03 grams? Is that grams? What's DL?
I don't know. Let me look it up.
In Texas, intoxication is defined as BAC 20.1 G/DL. Analysis of the tea identified atropine, ethanol, and scopolamine. Back to you, Bill.
Handing it back to you. The G/DL means grams per deciliter.
Okay, got it.
So a gram is equal to the weight of 1 milliliter or 16 drops of water. It is about 1/30th of an ounce. A deciliter measures fluid volume equal to 1/10 of a liter.
Okay.
That's for whomever needed that today.
My brain doesn't math, so I still don't know.
No.
I still don't know what that amount would
I
be.
am not a fractions person.
But
I can read a recipe.
But it just sounds like a couple dumbass teenagers just drank the shit in the desert, expecting to like trip on some shit. And
Can
why
you imagine though being those two that survived?
fucking sucks?
That's so sad.
Why
All
would you
right.
think they're stupid?
Thanks, Justina. Now for our nightly news in New York City. On the morning of October 9th, 1994, an 18-year-old man from Long Island was brought to the emergency department. But
Wait a minute.
said that.
By the way, my name is Susan. That's my anchor name. Thank you.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Thank you, Susan. All right. By his mother after she found him in the bedroom, unclothed and hallucinating. Reports from friends indicate he had ingested 50 Jimsonweed seeds and had used controlled substances, i.e., cocaine, ecstasy, and marijuana. I don't know how to do a news anchor accent.
You gotta talk like really fast and really, really sarcastic.
Don't they talk like very precisely? I can't get
like-
anybody in my head.
like Siri?
Like,
Yeah, like a robot.
On evaluation, the patient was hallucinating and had fully diluted pupils, dry mouth, and decreased bowel sounds. He became progressively agitated and was sedated with intravenous diazepam and alprazolam.
You're Dan
Hallucination-
Rather.
I know, I think Dan Rather's sneaking in there.
You're Dan Rather.
Hallucinations continued for 36 hours. On October 11th, he was discharged from psychiatric counseling. He had a history of chronic substance abuse. During October 8th to November 15th, the Regional Poisoning Control Center was contacted about this case and for information about 13 other identified cases of Jimsonweed intoxication. The mean age of the 14 patients was 16.8 years. 8 were male. In the 5 incidents for which quantity of Jimsonweed exposure was reported, ingestion ranged from 30 to 50 seeds per person. Jesus Christ.
That's
They're
a lot of
dead?
seeds. Why so many?
Manifestations, including visual hallucinations by 12 people. Mydrasiasis.
Mydriasis?
That's the pupil dilation.
Uh-huh.
By 10 people. Tachycardia, 6 people. Dry mouth, 5 people. Agitation, 4 people. Nausea and vomiting, 4 people. Incoherence, 3 people. Disorientation by 3 people. Auditory hallucinations by 2. Combativeness, 2. Decreased bowel sounds, 2. Slurred speech, 2. Urinary retention, 1. And hypertension in 1 patient. 4 patients were treated and released from the ED. 6 were hospitalized. 3 were admitted to an intensive care unit. And 1 refused medical care.
Can you imagine that person?
What a baller. Well, like those 4 dudes that did it in the desert, like the one didn't have any symptoms.
Right?
He's a Superman. 5 of these patients were treated with activated charcoal. 1 was administered gastric lavage, like a gastric cleaning. And none received, what is that?
Physostigmine?
And none received physostigmine.
Whatever that is.
What a mess.
That one person who refused the treatment, I'm just like picturing it like that exorcism in Penn Station. Like, no!
I want to hallucinate.
I want Jimsonweed in my blood.
I went through like 3 different people.
Yeah.
My body, I was just possessed
That was great.
repetitively just then.
You just gave it over to Dan Rather all the way.
Yeah. Yeah. I only give it to Dan.
Just gave him your soul.
Yeah.
All right, man. We still have California. Okay, that's it, right? Just California.
I think so.
Cue me in. Back to you, Susan.
Oh, back to you, Suzanne. What's your name?
Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Dan. On October 22nd, 1994, 2 male and 4 female adolescents aged 15 to 17 years with a history of drinking Jimsonweed tea were transported to an ED. 2 persons were discharged from the ED, 4 were admitted to the ICU because of symptoms that included headache, fatigue, disorientation, fixed or sluggish dilated pupils, tachycardia, heart rates greater than 120 beats per minute, and hallucinations. I feel like I'm just reading one of those those commercials about drugs and like all the side effects.
Yeah.
Somebody's like riding a bicycle and they're so happy, and I'm like, why are you happy? You're gonna die from all those side effects.
You may experience erectile dysfunction.
What? Who writes those commercials? Editorial note: DeStramonium grows throughout the United States. Wait, did I finish? Did I skip a whole spot?
Yeah, these 4 patients.
These 4 patients were monitored with electrocardiograms, treated with physostigmine and activated charcoal, and discharged on October 23rd. The Los Angeles County Forestry Division reported that fires in the Los Angeles area may have promoted regrowth of Jimsonweed in defoliated areas.
Wow.
Yeah. So sidebar, this is just an editorial note. D-stramonium grows throughout the United States and historically was used by American Indians for medicinal and religious purposes. All parts of the Jimsonweed plant are poisonous, containing the alkaloids atropine, hyoscyamine, and scopolamine, which we've talked about before. Jimsonweed, also known as thorn apple, angel's trumpet, Jamestown weed, because of the first records of the physical symptoms following ingestion. We just told the story about Jamestown, Virginia, 1676, is a member of the nightshade family. Toxicity of Jimsonweed varies by year between plants and among different leaves on the same plant. Although all parts of the plant are toxic, the highest concentrations of anticholinergic occur in the seeds, equivalent to 0.1 milligrams of atropine per seed. The estimated lethal dose of atropine and scopolamine in adults are greater than 10 milligrams and 2 to 4 milligrams, respectively 1 or 2. So I guess that 0.1 milligrams, that's, I don't know if that's enough to be lethal, but maybe not. Maybe that's why some of those people lived.
Oh yeah, that could be. Yeah,
I'm guessing. They just lucked out that they did. Well, like, but it said 30 to 50 seeds. Like what? I don't know.
Seems like a lot.
The math ain't mathin'. My brain ain't mathin'. So
Yeah.
I was gonna leave this to the professionals, and I'm just gonna report the facts. Symptoms of Jimsonweed toxicity usually occur within 30 to 60 minutes after ingestion and may continue for 24 to 48 hours because the alkaloids delay gastrointestinal manifestations include dry mucous membranes, thirst, difficulty swallowing and speaking, blurred vision, and photophobia, and may be followed by hypothermia, confusion, agitation, combative behavior, hallucinations typically involving insects.
What the fuck?
Beetles?
Beetles.
Urinary retention, seizures, and coma. Treatment consists of supportive care, gastrointestinal decontamination, i.e. emesis or activated charcoal, and physostigmine in severe cases.
Wait a minute. You said hyperthermia?
Yeah,
Dang, can you can your brain trick your body into going into hypothermia?
probably. Your brain can trick you into doing a lot of shit.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure, like, people who've combated hypothermia, like, there's ways to trick your brain into not going into hypothermia.
Weird. Okay.
I've heard.
Okay.
Yeah, not that I've experienced so much hypothermia. in my
First-hand
day.
account, just like obvious exorcism.
Obvious exorcisms. No, but like, yeah, your brain is so much more capable than you know, which I mean, that's what the whole placebo effect is, right? It's like you tricking your body into thinking that something is either working or not working. Therefore, by, I guess, believing that it does or doesn't, then it actually does or doesn't.
Do you remember? It was like probably right when we got back from Salem, Sudafed PE was in the news for basically being a placebo. And that's what I had been taking to like clear up my stuff. Like I had been taking a lot of it and still, like, you heard me. But you know what else was on that list?
What?
Tums.
Shut the fuck up.
I'm not kidding.
You mean
I'm
we
still gonna take
snorted
'em.
it? We snorted it in Boston for nothing. Your pocket
Guys, we did
crumbs.
not snort Tums in Boston.
No, I'm laughing because Kristina pulled Tom's out of her pocket and it was basically powder at that point. Yeah, like what? What is this? She's like, this
I'm
is
doing
all
it again. I'm
about-
bringing my own Tums just in case.
I'm gonna bring the whole. Well, now that I know it's a placebo effect, what's the point? It's not gonna work now because now I know and I
Believe. You have to believe. Clap.
you believe. Yeah. All right, we have one more segment of news to get through here, so take it away, Dan.
Oh, in 1993, a total of 94,725 poisonings associated with toxic plants was reported in the United States. Although most cases of Jimsonweed poisoning in the United States occurred sporadically, increased incidence or clustering of cases may follow press and broadcast reports that heighten interest in but do not emphasize the adverse effects of Jimsonweed ingestion. In 1993, the American Association of Poison Control Centers Toxic Exposure Surveillance System received 318 reports of Jimsonweed exposure. Although the total number of reported exposure to Jimsonweed did not rank among the 20 most frequently reported exposures to poisonous plants, telephone calls to poison control centers about Jimsonweed poisoning are more likely than those about other hallucinogens to prompt a need for medical care. Poisoning associated with Jimsonweed can be prevented through education of healthcare providers and by press and broadcast reports to the public that emphasize the health hazards of Jimsonweed ingestion, but that reduce access to the plant by omitting detailed descriptions and drawings and photographs. Back to you, Suzanne. Suanne.
Suzanne. I think that's all the news we have for today, right? That's that whole article.
Well, maybe. I don't remember.
Is there more?
I don't know.
We have another article. This is also from JustStore.com. This is from Maryland Tidewater News, Volume 6, Number 2. This was written or published in July 1949. Okay, so this was, I guess, in Maryland. So this says, right now is the season of flowering and fruiting of the common Jimsonweed, a pest in the field, garden, and around the home throughout Tidewater, Maryland. This smelly and undesirable pest is set naturally, its seeds being dispersed by wind, by birds, and by other mechanical means. By many people, it is considered poisonous and is avoided. By others, it is held to be a friend of man. Indeed, this item was suggested by an inquiry as to where, nearby, Jimsonweed could be found, with which to make a poultice to be applied to a fishhook-infected hand. Whew. In the same region, and not long since, the Jimsonweed was held in high esteem for its supposed medical properties. The Jimsonweed comes from a reputable family, Solanaceae or nightshade of plants, many of whose members rate high in the profession of agriculture and medicine. The common white or Irish potato, the pepper, the love apple or tomato, and the eggplant of this group rank well up in farm income and as foods. Among the relatives of this plant used for drugs and other purposes are belladonna, pepper, horse nettle, bittersweet, and tobacco, in addition to the Jimsonweed itself. Several members of the family to which Jimsonweeds belong are used as flowers and for decorative purposes, such as petunias and Jerusalem cherries, while others are used as stimulants. Many members of the family are poisonous, some 6 or 7 of which are found wild in America. The common Jimsonweed, then, is associated with a family of interesting plants of great commercial and aesthetic value, while some few of its relatives are of little interest and some of them actually negative in value. Almost without exception, the blossoms are pretty and interesting of structure. This is true of the Jimsonweed blossom, although it is rarely inspected close up by humans due to the repellent nature of the plant. This plant will continue to be just the Jimsonweed to most Tidewater folks, a pest to be eradicated by all good gardeners. And going back to the spinach debacle with Costco, yeah, it is a pest to be eradicated and made 200 people sick.
Oh my God. This sounds like it grows everywhere. Maybe not in like North Dakota, like the colds, but this kind of is very broad growing.
Yeah, this seems like invasive species.
Mm-hmm. I think we got one more before we take our break. So this is entitled Peyote and the Hopi by William T. Beaver, and this is through the American Anthropologist, volume number 54 from 1952. In the July-September issue of the American Anthropologist, volume 53, Number 3, there was an article by J.S. Slotkin on peyote. The major idea of this article was to show the earliest mention of the use of peyote north of the Rio Grande and to give evidence that an Isleta had brought the peyote to Taos from the Hopi. It would seem that both Slotkin and the Spanish could not distinguish peyote from Jimsonweed. Maybe that Jimmy knew that too, like that the kids probably couldn't tell the difference. Or if it really was peyote that the Indians were using, they did not tell the truth as to its source. The Hopi were ignorant of the use of peyote, and the older generations still are today. The younger ones have heard of it, although the majority of them do not even know what it looks like or anything about its use. They have recently heard about it through the Indian schools from the Oklahoma Indians. Not one ethnologist working among the Hopi has ever mentioned the use of peyote among them. Another very important factor is that the cactus does not grow in the Hopi country, nor does it grow in the country of any tribe that surround the Hopi. The use of Jimsonweed as a medicine and by the doctors as means to diagnose a sickness, however, has its distribution westward into California. So it's interesting that people have been writing about this like journalistic style for a really long time. We've had 1905, we had the gentleman from 1670 whatever talking about the men in the militia eating this shit, and this is like in the 50s
and 2000 something in Australia. Costco. I'm never gonna live that down, you know that.
My gosh. It's just sometimes humans just repeatedly just do the same stupid thing over and over and over,
and that's why we have Darwinism.
Okay, are you ready to take a break?
I am ready to take a break. I gotta pee.
Okay, me too.
All right,
cool.
We'll
All right, guys, when we come back, we are going to dive into the Magick and Lore, traditional medicine, and we also have our card pull to do, our second card pull of the season. So stick around and we'll be right back.
Hey, little witches. The Stinas here. If you've been listening to our podcast for a while, you would know how much we love using the Practical Magic Inner Witch Oracle deck by Grounded by the Moon.
And now we want to share the magic of Grounded by the Moon with you, our listeners. Joseph Benitez Egerton, the creator behind Grounded by the Moon, would like to offer this very special 10% off discount to all who wish to experience the magic of his practical magic themed tarot and oracle decks.
But that's not all. He also creates other divination tools like tarot workbooks, deck bags and altar cloths, pendulum kits, oil blends, cleansing sprays, smoke wands, teas, and ritual kits.
And let's not forget about his custom handcrafted, all-natural soy candles, where every candle is hand-poured and personally infused and charged under the light of the moon. They even come with a crystal.
And did we mention all of the ingredients in the candles are ethically sourced?
All of Joseph's offerings are just so magical. So go visit groundedbythemoon.com and use the coupon code Magnolia Magic for 10% off your entire order at checkout.
That's MAGNOLIA MAGIC. So get your discount today.
You're listening to the Magnolia Street Podcast. Welcome back, everybody. Justina's grabbing her deck.
My dear. All right, I'm going to shuffle up, I guess. Tell me when to stop.
Okay. Stop.
Firefly.
Firefly.
Have we gotten that yet?
Yeah, I think in the house episode.
Oh, this card, the keyword is auras and observe. I guess
Be observant of the plants that you're fucking putting in your mouth.
Yeah, exactly. Don't be stupid.
Don't be so stupid, Jimmy.
You're so stupid. So this card, all right, so it means auras and also to observe and also perception. So it says coming out at dusk and lighting up the night in many areas of the world, fireflies allow for us to see what we cannot on our own. Take notice of the energies that surround you. Witness the auras in those around you and ensure that you act accordingly. Interesting fact, not all fireflies light up, but this is how they communicate with one another. Ancients used them in paper lanterns. Some believed that the firefly were the souls of the dead ancient warriors helping to guide us. Simultaneous bioluminescence is a rare natural phenomenon that happens when all the fireflies within a certain area link up and synchronize flashes. So act accordingly. This seems like herd mentality, right? Like when everybody starts doing something because like it's a fad or it's like, I don't know,
trend. A trend.
Yeah, it's just like somebody word of mouth and like it just catches on, and then the more people that start doing it, it just like explodes into
100%.
Yeah. So
don't do drugs, kids.
But I mean, as far as like starting a movement, it is kind of cool. That
it
kind
is
of cool thing, you know?
Yeah.
So the mantra on this card says, I am aware of and see the energies around me. Yeah, I don't know how we can pertain it to this episode. I
mean, this was used in Native American rituals to, go to that next phase of your life, whether that was young boys turning into men, and they wanted to get to that higher plane, see something that is not there, experience something that's not there.
Unfortunately, not many of them made it out alive, but
yeah, I'm not sure the mortality rate of the natives at the time.
Right. But even like in modern times, just, be aware of your surroundings, be aware of what you're putting into your body, and just be careful out there, guys.
Mm-hmm.
It's a crazy world.
We had there was this weird weed growing in my greenhouse over the winter, and it looked like a mimosa tree leaf pattern, just like that. I was like, I wonder what this sucker is.
Yeah.
So I put it out in the yard. This thing has grown to be about like 7 feet tall.
Holy shit.
And it got these, I'll take a picture for you. It got these pea pods that are like this big. It looks like a Charlie Brown Christmas tree with mimosa leaves, and these little pea pods look like Christmas ornaments dangling on it in the wind.
Is it a catalpa tree?
No, I think it's called like a brattle bush. Or something like that. And these pea pods are poisonous. So I don't think my dog will eat them if they fall, but I think I need to cut this thing down. It's cool. People do like trim them into like bonsai topiaries kind of thing.
Yeah.
And they get these really beautiful fuchsia flowers, butterflies like. But I was like, these things are like this big.
Oh my
They're
God.
like 2 to 4 inches big.
You guys have some crazy shit down south.
I know. And so it popped up when I dug the trench in my greenhouse into the ground underneath. I have no idea. I've never seen anything like it.
Interesting. The only thing that I could think that sounds even remotely similar to that with like dangling pea pods is the catalpa tree. And the only reason I know that is because I think I might have talked about this at some point before. In like 6th or 7th grade, I had a science teacher and he took us out to like go on these like nature walks, and we would identify different leaves, and we would pick different leaves, put them in our notebooks, and then like identify them, put all the scientific information. And that was always the one that I remembered because I thought it was just like such a fun word, like catalpa.
Catalpa. It's like talcum powder.
Yeah. And then more recently, like when me and Avi started dating, we were at somebody's house or like somebody's backyard, and we were looking at the trees, and he was like, "That's a weird tree. What the hell kind of tree is that?" I was like, "That's a catalpa tree." He's like, "No." He's like, "Shut up. No, it's not. You're fucking with me." I'm like, "Look it up. How did you know that?" I'm like,
so
"I paid attention in science class in 6th grade."
That is a weird word. It's got a bunch of funky consonants in it.
Catalpa.
Catalpa.
It's kind of like alfalfa.
Alfalfa and catalpa.
Right.
They're best friends.
Best friends.
They hang out with mugwort and wormwood.
Mugwort spice and wormwood. All right.
Could you tell us about some traditional medicine?
So this is a different variation of the Jimsonweed, and the Latin name is Stramonium vartatula. So one of the primary active agents in DATURA is atropine, which has been used in traditional medicine and for recreational purposes over centuries. The leaves are generally smoked either in a cigarette or a pipe. Romani people may have introduced Jimsonweed to Europe. During the late 18th century, James Anderson, the English physician general of the East India Company, learned of the practice and popularized it in Europe. The Chinese also used it as a form of anesthesia during surgery. So interesting.
Dang, because you just black out.
Yeah.
You know, it's just, let's just knock you out with a little Jimsonweed.
I guess people did use it, like it said, Romani people may have introduced it to Europe. It sounds like they did kind of use it recreationally back in the day, which is kind of scary. And
it's like so scary.
Knowing what it can do. Shit. Well, damn. All right. So, Magick and Lore, guys, here it is. Is this from the Encyclopedia of Magical Herbs?
Wikipedia is this first thing.
All right. So, according to John Gerard's book, Herbal, in 1597, the gender is feminine. The planet, it's ruled by Saturn. The element, it's ruled by water. And the powers is hex breaking, sleep, and protection. So, I guess sleep aid, I guess. Right? I guess would knock you out.
You on your ass. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, hex breaking, sleep, and protection. And earlier we said healing too, so interesting. So this says the juice of thorn apple boiled with hog's grease.
And this is a quote. This is his quote. John Gerard's. This is like an excerpt from the book.
Got it. Okay, so 1597. So is he like Old English?
Do it, Old English man.
The juice of thorn apple boiled with hog's grease cureth all inflammations whatsoever. All manner of burnings and scaldings, as well as fire, water, boiling lead, gunpowder, which comes by lightning, and that in very short time, as myself have found in daily practice, to my great credit and profit.
Very nice.
I tried.
Okay, weird.
Yeah, it is weird.
So for burns?
Hog's grease.
I mean, if it's like a numbing thing, it would eventually inspire Novocaine.
Right.
So maybe it's like numbing for a burn.
Yes, that makes sense.
Yeah.
William Lewis reported in the late 18th century that the juice could be made into a, quote, very powerful remedy in various convulsive and spasmodic disorders like epilepsy and mania, end quote. And was also, quote, found to give ease in external inflammations and hemorrhoids.
Wow.
I can use me some of that.
Could you imagine putting this shit up your butt? Just pop one of those, the whole thing, like the whole spiky ball and everything.
Like a spiky ball suppository. I imagine that would be more painful than the hemorrhoids themselves.
True.
So Henry Hyde Salter discusses D-stramonium as a treatment for asthma in his 19th century work on asthma, its pathology, and treatment. Smoking of herbs, including D-stramonium, was thought to provide relief for asthmatics since antiquity and into the early 20th century. The use of smoking D-stramonium to treat asthma would later wane following new understandings of asthma as an allergic inflammatory reaction and developments in pharmacology that provided more effective treatments. Yeah, so
they were just trying to use that at one point, and I remember this episode, but I don't remember what herb it was, in Outlander, right? There was a guy with asthma that she ended up like, they were like, don't give him smoke, that's going to make his asthma worse, but she was using a specific plant and having him moxibustion his lungs, basically.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Inhale the smoke to calm his asthma. I don't remember what it was either.
And either way, they thought she was a witch for trying to heal with herbs and knowledge than spirituality.
Right. I actually showed this to Aaron and my brother-in-law, and they said that like this picture below that Justina and I are looking at, we're going to talk about spiritualism and the occult. It looks like a Mario, in Mario Kart, those like things that snatch you, those plants that eat you. I don't know if you remember those, but they look like a Mario Kart cartoon character.
The plant snatchers.
Yeah.
Plant
They're
munchers.
like a Venus flytrap kind of thing. But in this, that's what they look like to me.
Yeah, it also has like an Audrey 2 kind of vibe if you're into
Oh,
Little Shop of Horrors, right? Kind of looks like
yeah.
that. Audrey 2. I wonder what
Oh.
that plant was based off of. Just a Venus flytrap?
Probably.
Yeah.
I think.
I don't know, because the Venus flytrap has the claws. Audrey 2 kind of looks more like this, I think.
Oh,
Yeah.
that would be a cool like secret trivia to find.
I'm gonna look that up.
So spiritualism and the occult. So across the Americas, indigenous peoples such as the Algonquins, Aztecs, Navajo, Cherokee, and Luiseño, and the indigenous peoples of Marie Galante used the plant or other Datura species in sacred ceremonies for its hallucinogenic properties. In Ethiopia, some students and Dedrawak, which are lay priests, use D-stramonium to, quote, open the mind, to be more receptive to learning and creative, imaginative thinking. The common name Datura has its origins in India, that Justina told us about, where the sister species, Datura metel, is considered particularly sacred, believed to be a favorite of Shiva in Shivism. Both Datura stramonium and Datura metel have reportedly been used in some Sadhus and charnel ground ascetics, such as Anghori, and both pathogen and ritual poison.
Oh my god.
Oh, this one's hard. It is sometimes mixed with cannabis as well as highly poisonous plants like Aconitum ferox to intentionally create dysphoric experiences. The ascetics have used unpleasant or toxic plants. What's an ascetics? Like monks?
Ascetic is one who practices severe self-discipline. So like
Oh.
those people that like whip their own backs.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. That makes sense now. Okay.
Uh-huh.
The ascetics have used unpleasant or toxic plants such as these in order to achieve spiritual liberation, moksha, in settings of extreme horror and discomfort. Among its visionary purposes, Jimsonweed also garnered a reputation for supposed magical uses in various cultures throughout history. In his book, The Serpent and the Rainbow, Wade Davis identified a Datura stramonium called the zombie cucumber
What?
in Haiti as a central ingredient of the concoction voodoo priests used to create zombies. However, it has been noted that the process of zombification is not directly performed by voodoo priests of the Lao, but rather by bokors. A bokor, which is a male Haitian Creole, or a caplata, which is the female, is a voodoo witch for hire who is said to serve the Lao, quote, with both hands, practicing for both good and evil. In European witchcraft, Datura stramonium was also supposedly a common ingredient used for making witches' flying ointments. And yeah, check out our brooms episode as well as our belladonna episode. We go over more of that in depth there. But along with other poisonous plants of the nightshade family, it was often responsible for the hallucinogenic effects of magical or lycanthropic salves and potions. During the witch phobia craze in the early modern times in England and parts of the colonial northeastern United States, it was often considered unlucky or inappropriate to grow the plant in one's garden, as it was considered to be an aid to incantations.
Question.
Yeah.
So this says it was responsible for the hallucinogenic effects of magical or lycanthropic salves and potions. Lycanthropic means werewolves, like turning into a werewolf. So is this saying that this was used to maybe try to turn somebody into a werewolf?
Yeah, I think so.
What?
I think so.
This is nuts.
So we mentioned a ritualistic tea earlier that was called wasakin. Would you tell us about that a little bit more?
So wasakin, the Huskanaw, was a ritual ceremony for young boys ages 10 to 15 years old. Due to the unfamiliarity of English chroniclers with the ceremony, it was misunderstood by some who claimed boys were sacrificed to please the gods. There's no real evidence to support such claims. Comparing the various accounts, it is clear that what was going on was a ritual with a series of challenges that once met would not only mark entrance into adulthood, but in some cases define those who demonstrated charismatic or priestly traits befitting a shaman, werowance, or indications of expertise as a hunter, fisherman, warrior, councilman, and other callings. Some report the boys being painted different colors as indications of likely future expertise and identity. Large tribes held their own Huskanaw, while smaller tribes, such as the Lord. All right, let me sound this out.
Yukonaks.
Quiukohanoks and Paspahegs staged the ritual together. The ceremony took place over a period of 3 days, beginning with a gathering of men and boys for 2 days of dancing while their mothers gathered at home mourning as if their children were metaphorically dying.
Mm.
On the last day, mothers came to tell the boys goodbye before they were placed in the forest without food and water. That sounds like the Hunger Games.
It does. Jesus.
May the odds be ever in your favor. Oh my god. They were also given a poison potion, Waisakin. Allegedly, after months in the forest, the regiment wiped their memories of their parents, language, even their names. Some became delirious. Most significantly, they became men, forgetting that they had ever been boys. Surviving this ordeal was understood as a rite of passage, marking the transition from childhood to adulthood. So
Wow.
basically, that whole transition is just one fucking huge traumatic experience. Like, what the fuck?
I mean, gave them amnesia, I
Uh-huh.
guess. Like, you lose your memory of you ever being of your family. Like, what do you do after? You don't go back to your family?
No, I think you go back to your family, but you go back to them as a man at that point.
Right. But it was saying that the regiment wiped their memories of their parents' language and even their
Oh.
names.
Weird. Then yeah, I guess then they just start their own life at that point. I don't know.
Weird. Oh, 10 to 15 is so young.
That's crazy. So I wonder if they were also expected to like fight to the death, or were they just up against this like
It's fucking Thunderdome.
this fucking poison potion to it's like, all right, yeah, here you go. Good luck. If you survive, then you're a man. If not, oh well. Like what the fuck? I don't like,
Dig.
so weird.
An ayahuasca Thunderdome. Can you imagine?
Ayahuasca. That's crazy.
So, this article was called Possible Efficacy of a Creek Folk Medicine Through Skin Absorption, an Object Lesson of Ethnopharmacology. Ethnopharmacology.
Yeah.
It says a poultice made of DATURA stramonium was used by Appalachian Hill people to reduce the pains of wounds, and pioneers smoked the leaves of this plant to relieve asthma, boils, and ulcers. A decoction of blossoms and roots has been used as a sedative to calm patients during the setting of fractures. Datura carota is reported to have been used as a poultice for bruises and cuts. Hyoscyamus, the best known species of which is henbane, contains various plants that are important in the production of hyoscyamine and scopolamine.
Scopolamine.
I guess Hyoscyamus maticus is grown commercially for hyoscyamine, from which atropine can be derived, and the plant is smoked by peoples of the Middle East and North Africa to relieve toothaches. The seeds of H. niger and H. reticulatus are taken for the same purpose. I did not know this one would be such a tongue thrasher.
Lots of Latin here. So
Okay.
the Poisoner's Apothecary. This is from the poisonersapothecary.com. So some magical uses, according to that blog, is the spirit of Thornapple. It's a trickster and a shapeshifter, manifesting in many different forms, sometimes animal, human, and green man, I guess. Thornapple is nocturnal and thus connected to the moon, nocturnal creatures, and the magic of the night and the psychic realm. By looking at its dangerous-looking pods, we can see that Thornapple can also be fiery and aggressive, making it a powerful ally for hexing and protection magic. Interesting, because didn't before it say it was like ruled by the element of water? But it's
Did it? Okay.
a fiery and aggressive plant. So Datura is also a wise shaman guiding us on a psychedelic journey to bring back knowledge. Datura can help with healing involving ancestral trauma, past life issues, and reoccurring nightmares. The stone associated with Thornapple is petrified wood. Ruler is Saturn because it's poisonous. Mercury vapor.
Mercury vapors.
Mercurial because it is a trickster and entheogen. Venusian, I guess ruled by Venus also, for its aphrodisiac properties. Mars because of its thorns and aggressive nature. Psychedelic plants are also under the rulership of Neptune. That would be the water. And then elemental, it's associated with fire, I guess.
Okay,
because
so
it
some
is-
differing
Yeah.
some differing information plus all the planets almost.
Basically, yeah. So it's ruled by a couple different tarot, or only one tarot archetype. Oh, okay. The Hanged Man, it's ruled by. Yeah, I am surprised it's not the devil.
Yeah, when it had like Diablo in its name.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, but yeah, it's the Hangman, which is it's associated with.
Yeah, why would it
And not the devil card.
I wonder what the reasoning for that is,
I don't know.
The Hanged Man is kind of like you're in kind of like a waiting period that you don't really have any
Mhm.
control over.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that would be like
The
tripping
blackout
balls.
stage.
Tripping
Yeah.
balls. Like you don't really have any control over that when you
Okay.
tripping balls. You just gotta
Okay.
let it ride out, and unless you die, then otherwise let it play out until you get sober. I don't know.
Man.
I don't have any advice for you. Just
We don't do drugs.
don't do
We
this
talk
shit.
about it like we know.
They say no to drugs, kids. So some of the spirits associated with Datura or Thornapple is the grandmother or Mamoy, a tutelary grandmother spirit associated with Datura. Shiva, the devil, Kali, trickster spirit, coyote spirit, moth spirit, and adversarial spirit of nature.
And it's also associated with the devil.
Yeah. So weird that a devil card is not listed there for the
Yeah.
tarot.
So a little bit more about Mamoy. In Northern American Indian mythology, Mamoy is the Chumash goddess of Datura, a sacred plant which is used by the Indians for both magical and medicinal purposes. Mamoy is depicted as an old woman, a crone, who holds the power of clairvoyance. But legend has it that even though she has been able to see into the future, she held no power to directly affect it or to frustrate the plans of the evildoers. However, it is also said that those who drank of the water in which she had washed her hands would be able to fall into a deep slumber in which they were not able to see the future, but subsequently try to avoid any evil or wrongdoing. So that gives kind of like a hangman thing, like this fate is going to happen, but you just have to wait and you don't really have any control over the
Right.
situation at the moment.
100%.
It was after the Great Flood that Mamoy was transformed into the Datura plant. In that way, she was able to continue to inspire visionary dreams. The Chumash used the bath water, or tea, of Mamoy as a rite of passage to build resistance to fear, strengthen character, diagnose illness, and predict the future. The men of the village earned their place by passing through a, quote, Mamoy ceremony when they were as young as 8 years old, while girls went through their Mamoy ceremony at puberty. The ceremony involved drinking a preparation datura, which induced a sacred dream that frequently gave the youth some direction about their future lives. The boys carved a soapstone dream guide after their dream, which would be used as a spiritual talisman throughout their lives.
All right, that seems like a lot more of like a peaceful
I
ritual.
like that. Not
Transition,
pushing them out into the wilderness. Good luck.
Hunger Games style.
Wow.
What the fuck? Yeah, that
Mm.
sounds way more doable and way more serene than that other bullshit. Anyway, all right. So, a thorn apple, as an example, at first glance, it appears to be a very masculine plant. The stramonium variety has deeply serrated spiny leaves, and the thorns on its seed pods are very sharp and erect. When ingested, it often causes aggressive behavior, mood swings, paranoia. On the other hand, thorn apple is also used as a sedative, a pain reliever, and to soothe exhaustion. Varieties like Datura inoxia have soft ovate leaves of dark lush green. Considering the herb's esoteric characteristics, we are looking at the plant that displays both martial and lunar aspects, while technically being a Saturnian plant. One of the defining characteristics of Saturn, as seen in the Roman festival of Saturnalia, is an inversion of social norms. Binary gender is a social norm that is currently undergoing a rapid deconstruction. Considering this, while thornapple does have these characteristics, they can all be applied to the opposite gender that they would initially be associated with. The martial characteristics, for me, bring to mind the Valkyrie, the Shield Maiden, the Amazonian warrior, and Celtic chieftain, all roles filled by women. On the other hand, I see the wounded healer, the two-souled shaman, the trickster, and the androgynous gods of light and art. The outdated gender binary is undergoing a Saturnian entropy, a static paradigm being broken down and reborn into something more reflective of our spiritual natures. And that was from pathos.com. Yeah, very interesting. Right? So I guess this herb does have that gender bending androgynous quality. It can go either way, maybe, or just not categorized at all. It's everything. It's anything and everything all together.
Yeah,
So,
cool.
Yeah, very
I like
cool.
that.
So some of the magical applications and physical characteristics. Thorn apple has been used in rites of passage by indigenous Americans for centuries. It is a plant with the exception of a couple varieties that is native to the Americas. Its application as a catalyst for these liminal rites and its roles as a gatekeeper to esoteric wisdom make it a powerful ally for aiding transitions, for letting go, and for healing the trauma of the past. I just recently recommended it to a lady who was dealing with anger and other emotional issues related to ancestral trauma. I guess this is still from Pathos, it sounds like. The author says, I think of thorn apple as a, quote, spirit food herb, end quote, like tobacco or sweetgrass. As such, I feel it is a good offering to appease the spirits while also utilizing its ability to bring catharsis or intense healing. When taken homeopathically, thorn apple stramonium helps to overcome fears, anxiety, anger, and aggression. Interestingly, thorn apple also has some applications in love magic. Interesting, because didn't we had the apple episode, which isn't thorn apple, but it still has a place in love magic, which I think it's like
Yeah. Heavy, apple
Right.
heavy in the love.
exactly. It is a little more coercive, seductive, and lusty than some of the more
Ooh.
demure and gentle love herbs.
Ooh.
Ah, scandalous. So, one insight that this author says I recently had is that seed pods, when empty, have 4 chambers, the same number of chambers that are in the human heart. This sympathetic connection can be explored in love magic. Guys, go listen to our sympathetic magic episode. This sympathetic connection can be explored in love magic and also used in rituals to protect one's heart. In the same way the pods can be used in general protection magic, they can be tailored to protect an individual, more specifically, their heart or emotions through this sympathetic connection. Like many of the visionary herbs used in otherworld travel and spirit flight, like astral projection, I guess, if you want to go to the bathroom like Gillian did and go visit her sister on the other side of the country, thorn apple has hollow stems. Do you think she was using thorn apple to fucking astral project?
Dude, I don't know.
Oh my god. So these are thought to represent the avenues upon which the spirit travels when in flight. Plant, quote, straws have been used for blowing sacred smoke and powder, and also for the insufflation of entheogenic herbs, a technique called rape. Some practitioners may also visualize themselves traveling through these tiny passageways to connect with the plant on a deeper level or access chthonic realms to bring back wisdom or plant medicine.
Okay.
So, in a way, kind of also sounds a little bit like ayahuasca, that whole experience, right?
Yeah, yeah. People were just putting everything and anything in their mouths.
Exactly. No one
Try
gives-
it all. See
no
what
one gives a-
sticks.
Exactly.
This is an old recipe for a burn, Burne. So I'm guessing this is an old timey thing. I didn't see a date, but I also didn't look very hard.
What is this from? Botanical.com.
All right. It says, take of the plant called thorn apple and elder leaves, 2 good handfuls, pound both leaves and apples very small in a stone mortar. Then take a pound of burrow hogs, lard watered, and put them together in an earthen pan, working them well together. Let it stand till it begins to hour, which is grow musty, and then set it o'er a soft fire, not letting it boil, and then strain it and put in fresh herbs, order it as before. This still 3 times, and then keep it for your use. It will keep 7 years.
Oh shit. That gives a long time.
That is a long time.
That's a long-
Probably because of the lard.
Yeah, probably. Put anything in animal fat and it's not going anywhere.
Fucking nowhere.
Going fucking nowhere fast. So we have one more little segment to get through, and this is all about Jimsonweed and pop culture. This thing I found, this is all about the American artist Georgia O'Keeffe. She lived between 1887 and 1986. That's a long fucking time. She painted Jimsonweed several times. She was fond of the flowers, which grew wild around her New Mexico house. These paintings of the exotic white pinwheel blooms, hugely magnified, are amongst her most familiar works. In 2014, one such painting sold for $44 million,
Oh my god.
a record price for a female artist's work. Given the location of O'Keeffe's residence in the New Mexico desert, it is likely that she saw Western Jimsonweed, probably a lot. Do you think she ever, tried tripping balls on that shit?
I don't think so. Well, maybe.
You never know. Maybe it contributed to her creative
Artistic
abilities.
flair.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Also, the plant is an element of Hunter S. Thompson's 1971 roman à clef novel, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, A Savage Journey to the Heart of the American Dream, which Johnny Depp played Hunter S. Thompson in that movie. Did you ever see that movie?
Yeah. Johnny Depp, Diane Weiss.
Benicio del Toro?
Well, no, I'm doing the separation degrees.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Diane
Yeah.
Weiss, Johnny Depp, Practical Magic. There we go. In part 2, chapter 5 of the book, a Jimsonweed experience is recounted by the character Dr. Gonzo as described here. It says, quote, "Last Christmas, somebody gave me a whole Jimsonweed. The root must have weighed 2 pounds, enough for a year. But I ate the whole goddamn thing in about 20 minutes. Oh my god. In about
Whoa.
20 minutes. Luckily, I vomited most of it right back up. But even
Whoa.
so, I went blind for 3 days. Christ, I couldn't even walk. My whole body turned to wax. I was such a mess that they had to haul me back to the ranch house in a wheelbarrow. They said I was trying to talk, but I sounded like a raccoon. I need to read this book.
Like a raccoon?
Yeah, it sounded like a raccoon.
Wow.
Yeah. End quote. Due to the fact that Dr. Gonzo presumably lived in Los Angeles, California during this time, this encounter was likely also with the quote western Jimsonweed species as well. It could have also been Datura anoxia, but since the author has passed, we may never know which one he intended.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So you said
Be
you
careful
had one?
out there. Don't just ingest things.
Did you have a pop culture reference you said you had?
The only one that I saw was the Georgia O'Keeffe one. But yeah, at the top of this episode, we talked about it showing up in that show Sinner. But I didn't write it down because seemed like a lot.
Okay.
And I don't know if it's like accurate. Like, does it? Because I Googled, I was like, does Jimsonweed smell like licorice? And the only thing that kept coming up was the Sinner plot.
Interesting.
But how do you feel about our episode number 2 of season 2?
It was nice and refreshing to do just a straightforward Magick Lore episode. You know,
Indeed.
These episodes I love because I love learning just like about what's out in nature. And like as a witch, it's really important to know that stuff. Like what you're using, what are you using in your spell work? What are you using in your cooking? What are you using in your healing?
Right.
Like it's important to know all those things. What's poisonous? What can fucking kill you?
Mm-hmm.
What's gonna make you
like
balls for 11 days?
The different types of poisoning. Like, is it only poison if you ingest it, or if you touch it, or if you smoke it? Because there are plenty of beautiful, poisonous, baneful herbs out there that I definitely would love to have, like, as a moxibustion, but inhaling that is probably no bueno.
No bueno. So yeah, I think it's great to just do a simple Magick Lore episode. It was nice to do one of these again because I felt like we've done so many special episodes in the past month. But we haven't really done many Magick Lore, so it was nice to just get back to this and just relax a little bit. It was a nice relaxing episode, I think.
We haven't had a Magick Lore in like 8 episodes.
Yeah.
From now.
We were overdue.
Yeah.
If you guys do want to support the podcast on Patreon, you can support us for as little as $1 a month. That's our seedling tier, and that gets you access to our patron-only polls where you get to weigh in on what topics you would like us to talk about next. It also gets you our monthly calendar so you can see what topics we have coming up for the month, and it also gets you a welcome shout-out on the show. Our $3 Lavender Bud tier gets you our show notes for each episode in an aesthetically pleasing PDF, our after hours posts, if there's any extra tidbits or behind the scenes info pertaining to any of our episodes, we'll post those along with a blog post or extra photos, and access to our specially curated Spotify playlists. We have created playlists for our WMSR episodes as well as Production Dream playlists for each song episode, and more. Our $5 Lilac tier gets you access to our private Facebook community where we host a monthly live stream. Plus, you'll get access to our Discord server where we host our monthly watch parties. And also on the Discord, you can join in on the discussion with other Magnolia Street neighbors via the various interesting channels and threads. And then here's the $8 Rose tier. This gets you access to extra audio-visual content such as a once a month full-length video episode, unlimited bonus videos, uncut footage, cutting room floor footage, bloopers, outtakes, meditations, exclusive interviews, and old home videos from the vault, or spell or ritual videos, and more. It also gets you bonus content to coincide with our song-episodes, such as full-length demo streams of our original Practical Magic inspired music, plus lyric sheets, guitar chords, and original scratch demos, or bonus video performances of our songs and more. Lastly, we have our $15 Wisteria Vine tier. Just like a twisting Wisteria Vine, there's a way for you to stay connected with us, the Stinas. In this tier, we invite you to join our private Marco Polo video messaging app. The app is totally free for both Android and iOS. Sign up with your phone number or email, and we will help you do the rest. This is a great way to chat with each other in a more intimate group setting, face-to-face via video recording. We love to show each other our pets, our gardens, or anything else you'd like to share. And just a reminder that the higher the tier you sign up under, the more rewards you get, because you get all of the rewards of the tiers below it. You can upgrade or downgrade or even cancel at any time. So to support the podcast, head to patreon.com/Magnolia Street Podcast.
Yeah, and there are additional ways to support us and our podcast that don't cost you any money. If you do listen on Spotify, please give us a star rating. If you listen to us on Apple Podcasts, please give us a written review. We love sharing those on our Instagram Instagram. And if you're on Instagram, we would really appreciate any reposts or blurbs about our podcast. And make sure to tag us at Magnolia Street Podcast in your feed, posts, stories, and share us with your practical magic loving friends. And we also have some awesome designs on our Teespring shop, which you can access through our Koji link in our Instagram bio. You can get our original designs on pretty much any kind of apparel, as well as other items like coffee mugs and stickers and tote bags and water bottles. And if there's a design you want on a thing you don't see over there, let us know. And I would love to put that design on whatever you would like. So guys, we really appreciate all your support, and welcome to season 2 again. Thanks for being here.
I'm Justina.
I'm Kristina.
And we'll see you next time.
At the house on Magnolia Street, would you